This time we will call the ESSER 3 public input hearing of the Farmington Central Community Unit School District 265 to order. Roll call of board members.
Lanier,
Here.
Depperman, absent. Ferrari,
Here.
Gorsuch,
Here.
Marr,
Here.
Slack,
Here.
Stanley.
Here.
At this time, anyone wishing to address the board regarding the ESSER 3 funds may do so. The district is currently in the process of applying for elementary and secondary emergency relief funds allocated through the American Rescue Plan. All school districts must utilize at least 20% of the fund to address learning loss due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Seeing no one, motion second to adjourn this portion of the meeting.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Marr, second by Ferrari. Voice vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. At this time, we will call the meeting of the Farmington Central Community Unit School District 265 to order. Roll call of board members.
Stanley,
Here.
Slack,
Here.
Marr,
Here.
Gorsuch,
Here.
Ferrari.
Here.
Depperman is absent. Lanier.
Here.
Please rise and join the board in saying the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I came,
So you add that to mine?
no, I came earlier, that's what you told me about. When I sat down, I was relieved. Actually, we need to mark it.
Yeah.
Honor acknowledgement. Mr. McMillan?
I'm going to go ahead and do things a little bit out of order tonight because I have two individuals from last month to introduce that had activities and couldn't make it, but they wanted to make sure that they came tonight. And then Anna Wabel, I'm going to go ahead and start with you because she's involved in the middle of an activity in FFA.
Oh.
So Anna is our junior of the month for October. Anna is involved in basketball, golf, track, harvest team, FFA, key club, game club, Spanish club, and band. Anna enjoys showing cattle, participating in the Knox County livestock judging team, and spending time with friends and family. Anna takes stats for the football team and is on the worship team at Northwoods Community Church in Canton. After high school, Anna wants to attend a four-year university and major in agricultural engineering. A big congratulations to Anna.
Congrats.
Thank you, thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
Good job.
Thanks,
These were two students of the month from September, and they're involved in activities, so naturally they were busy. The first is right here, Chase Minor. Chase is involved in golf and track at FCHS. He's also an outstanding student, and his teachers report that he's pleasant to have in class. A big congratulations to you, Chase.
Thanks for coming tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
And for also in September, our junior of the month is Maddie Helly. Maddie is involved in Science Olympiad, Marching Band, Winter Guard, Key Club, and Art Club. She's also on an honor roll and does an outstanding job in the classroom. Congratulations to Maddie.
Congratulations. Thanks for coming tonight. Appreciate it. Congratulations.
I do not see our other individuals here. Adrian? Go ahead and start with Adrian. I'll present her tonight. Adrienne Morse was selected as October's Senior of the Month. She excels academically. She's ranked the top 10% of her class as a member of the National Honor Society. Along with her studies, Adrienne is involved in various extracurricular activities, including marching band, volleyball, basketball, science Olympiad, Winter Guard, theater, Spanish club, FFA, and the ACES team. In addition to her extensive involvement in school, Adrienne finds time to give back as she volunteers within the community. She has dedicated many hours delivering Thanksgiving meals throughout Peoria for Southside Mission. She has also helped with the Special Olympics in Bloomington. She plans to attend the University of Illinois next year, where she will major in biology. So congratulations to Adrienne. I'm assuming our last two are on the golf team, because I know they had a banquet tonight. We're running a little bit late. So congratulations to our freshman of the month, Henry Easley, who's involved in baseball, golf, and band. He enjoys playing ping pong and video games. A big congratulations to Henry. And our sophomore of the month is Alexis Miller. She's involved in softball, Harvest Team, Key Club, and Art Club. She enjoys reading, listening to music, and spending time with friends. Her plans after high school are to go into college and travel. A big congratulations to her.
Good evening. Thanks for letting us do this again. I think it's awesome that we can recognize some students today. I have 6 students that I'd like to present that were named Student of the Month in the junior high. I'm going to start with our 6th grade. Up first is Madison Finney. Madison is a sweet... oh, go ahead. Yes, please. Madison, this is what her teachers have to say about her. Madison is a sweet, responsible girl. She is always kind and supportive of her peers. In her class, she actively participates and tries her best. She is a joy to have in class. Madison is dependable, responsible, and shows considerable maturity for her age. She can always be counted on to lend a helping hand in class. She treats others with kindness and compassion. So congratulations, Madison, on being the 6th grade student of the month.
Congratulations. Keep up the good work. Great job. Congratulations.
Our other 6th grade student of the month is Kevin Sampier. Kevin is a bright, kind boy. He is very respectful and responsible. He is kind to his peers and is conscientious of his academic studies. He is a joy to have in class. Those are things that your teacher said about you, buddy. So congratulations on being student of the month. I have 2 amazing 7th grade students to present to you as well. The first one up is Avery Blunier. Nervous? See anybody up there that you know? I'll just make sure. All right. Avery is an excellent student. She does her work on time and does it well. She shows a true love of learning, always taking an active role and doing her best. She is funny, kind, and participates well in class and is a joy to have in class. You can always count on her. Congratulations.
Must take after her mom, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
My other 7th grade student is Parker Crow. Let's find out what your teachers have to say about you. Parker is kind, respectful, and also a great student. He is very attentive in class and loves to participate. He is a good friend to others and very helpful during class. He is a great role model for his peers, always trying to do the right thing. Congratulations, buddy. All right, my 2 8th graders. First one, I am very proud to announce to you, Haley Whitby. Haley is a very good student. She strives to do her best every day. Haley is a very conscientious student who works hard to do her very best in all she does. She is such a delightful young lady and a joy in the classroom. Awesome stuff. 8th grade student. I don't see him here. It's Gage Smith. Gage. Well, I'm going to say something nice about him anyway because he's a great kid. Gage is a good friend to others, and his teachers enjoy having him in class. Gage is very respectful to his peers and teachers. He's also a hard worker and always gives it his all. And Gage has worked really hard this year to be the student he is. And this is the thing I like about this month. It's the first one that we've done, so the pool is big for our teachers. So for them to really have something in the first quarter or first month of school that stands out, I think is pretty special. So congratulations to all our students of the month.
Thank you, Mr. Whitmore. Mr. Chatterton.
So, just like we recognize our students for their hard work, we also recognize staff. And we do an Orange Frog staff recognition, and it's about just positivity within the school and having a positive mindset and sparking change within the school. So we ask for staff to submit names, and they have to give a little bio on why they're submitting those names. So last month, in the first month, we had 2 staff members selected. A high school teacher, Mr. Bachman, is a high school science teacher, and he's actually the only repeat Orange Frog recipient that we've had thus far. And he was also the faculty recognized staff member for, this month as well. So Mr. Bachman, what stood out this time that was a little bit different than last time was not that our teachers don't always reach out to parents and engage them in their child's education process, but the high school, we kind of pass on that responsibility a little bit more to the students, and Mr. Bachman always still makes sure that he's inclusive of the parents in the process and such. So that's what stood out in his recognition as Orange Frog recipient for September. And then in the junior high, we had Mrs. Springer, Julie Springer. She's an English language arts teacher at the 7th grade level, and she's recognized because of her extreme creativity. She has like Shark Tank theme type of lessons and such for students, and she has a night at the museum type of activities and such to really spark engagement on the part of the students. So those were our September Orange Frog recipients. And then October's recipients was Kristen Locke, who's a kindergarten teacher at the elementary school. And she was recognized. She had many attributes about student engagement and involving the kids in the classroom environment, but hers was more about her peer mentoring of fellow peers and other teachers and making sure that they're doing okay and being positive with them and making sure that they get all the support. And she's she's new to us, not new to teaching, but she's relatively new to Farmington, so that really stood out for the reason why she was recognized for this month. And then, I do not mean to upstage you, Parker, but we have 2 people in your family we recognized tonight, because your mom was recognized as the Orange Frog recipient for this month of October by your fellow colleagues over at the junior high. She works in the office of the junior high, and they say that you're always positive and upbeat, and they know there's a smile underneath that mask, and you're always uplifting for whoever comes in the office. So congratulations. So those are all Orange Frog recipients. Since you're here, you got to come around and give some knuckles. Come on. And we didn't even get around to seeing the staff to tell them that they're being recognized tonight. So she's caught a little bit off guard by all this. Good job. Keep up the good work.
Good job.
And then we have a board member to recognize. We got notified by Illinois Association of School Boards that Mrs. Ferrali is a master board member because of her Leadership Academy training. You're a master board member anyway, but they're recognizing you for all your leadership and your workshops that you've been attending over the duration of your...
Those workshops got me through COVID.
Okay.
Because they were very interesting, very well done, and you knew they were an hour.
Yeah.
I look forward to them.
Well, wear your pen with pride and congratulations. And don't give me the squeaky chair anymore.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I just made sure I didn't do it.
Before we continue on with our regular board meeting, anybody that wants to leave now, feel free to do so.
Yeah. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
Clear a room now, I can see. You can clear a room, can't you?
We got us something.
Always wondered.
Oh, did you?
Fourth graders. Great students.
Consent agenda. Agenda items 1 through 9 are included on the consent agenda. The purpose of the consent agenda is to preserve time on routine items. All items on the consent agenda will be approved without discussion in one motion, unless a board member has a question about an individual item. The consent agenda is offered to conserve time but not stifle discussion. If a board member has a question about any item, that item will be pulled from the motion and considered separately. If there are no questions, we need a motion and second to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ferrari, second by Gorsuch. Roll call.
Lanier,
Yes.
Farrelly,
Yes.
Gorsuch,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Stanley,
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Request for public hearing. Meeting protocol requires a board agenda item proposal from the public to be requested a minimum of 5 days prior to the meeting. However, this does not prohibit individuals from addressing the board publicly and within the request for a public hearing agenda timeframe, and within the time limits set by board policy. If anyone would like to address the Board of Education, please step to the podium at this time.
Good evening. I was wondering if there was an update on the mask mandate. I was told it would be on the agenda for every meeting until there was a resolution. So I was wondering what the resolution was. After October 1st, we were to revisit it. There's been 15 cases. All 15 cases have said there's no legal angle, no repercussion. There's nothing they can do. So if the money's not an issue other than your $2 million. They can't touch your funding. They can't take your charter. Why are we still wearing masks?
Well, I believe the school district that I just spoke to last week that was amongst the litigation in the appellate court, in the Fifth Appellate Court, got it revoked because they needed to name the state.
That
within
was
the
on
suit.
condition that they were waiting on a change by ISB, which was told that that was not going to happen. So you had said that you were wanting to get the control back. I wanted to know what the latest was on that.
Yeah. I just told you what I knew for the latest. That
So
when
there's
I-
been no action or motion taken by this board. You're still wanting the parents to file a lawsuit so that you can basically not take the action upon yourselves to do it? It's
the-
very disheartening that you're choosing the money over the kids. I just wanted some type of answer that you're working for a resolution. Or that there could be a gray area in our school district that would keep you obligated to looking as if you were following Pritzker's request, and that the kids wouldn't possibly be badgered by employees for possibly wearing their masks down over their nose occasionally so that they can breathe. I don't think that's too much to ask that the school tried to work with the community for a gray area. Education is not a one-size-fits-all, and neither is this mask deal, and that's not fair. Is it going to stay on the agenda till next month too then, the next meeting? Or is this a done deal? Can I have a reply, please?
So we're waiting on something from our attorney, right? You want to just allude to that real fast?
Yeah, but it's an action item, so I mean, if you want to jump ahead, it is continued to be on the agenda. the school district has an obligation to be very delicate and seek legal guidance on how to proceed. But the desire of the school board, to the best of my knowledge, has not changed.
Okay. So until then, the mask mandate is,
Nothing has changed that would affect, if we were to do something different, they would still proceed with revoking our status and would affect all the sports and everything connected with the sports. Nothing has changed, right?
That is true.
Okay.
can you cite me a reference for that?
I was asking a question
Oh,
myself.
no, that's, and he said it was true, I'm just, where does that come from?
The governor hasn't said anything different, has he? And I'm not defending the governor, but he hasn't changed his mind about anything.
There's no legal mandate, that's what I'm saying, though. If there's no legal mandate, what are we going along with?
Well, I believe if we do what we would like to do, we would get our status revoked by ISBE.
But
Right.
that's, no, that's
would not
not the
happen.
case. Correct.
So there are schools that have went no mask and have not had their status revoked?
They have had it revoked.
And what happened
Right.
when their status was revoked? It was reinstated after they, it was, sir.
They had to go to court in order to
Correct.
get it reinstated. So if we do that and we go to court, then that's where our legal is going to come out of the education fund in order to pursue that. And that's something that we're still, I believe, trying to think about, to where if we're pulling it out of that, we want to make sure that it's a winning scenario. Because if we're throwing that money at something that isn't going to win, whether it's then or in the next step, because you know it's going to get appealed if we win. They're going to take us to the next step. So that's where, can we determine by the second step, the third step, I believe, if we're going to win what we're trying to do.
In the meantime, is there a gray area for the children?
Not so much that I know of. I'd like to think that, we still have to go by the rule to an extent of what we're trying to keep going, I think. But I believe that we're still pursuing on what we can do to make it happen without
Do you
having.
have a time frame on that?
I work on it every week.
With our legal counsel for the district, you mean? I mean, I know that you have a
Universally
separate.
speaking, it depends on
I
what's
know
going on
you're
that week.
Working with the other superintendent, I understand, pushing for legislation or an avenue for the group that you had so that it could go back to the communities. I understand that. I just meant, aside from the superintendents that had got together to move forward on their behalf, is there something our District 265 is actually doing?
Were you here the night of the meeting with our legal counsel? Yeah. So you heard
Oh,
what
the night he sat
the night
here
he
and
was
talked.
here.
No, I watched it live streamed.
Yeah. So you heard what he said. I mean,
Right.
yeah. It's all gray area in a matter of speaking. I mean, he basically said that because of the political situation, our chances were minimal at best. It would be, and I'm not necessarily against fighting that, but there were a certain amount of people that didn't like the idea of spending that money to do it. So that's where we're at. Nothing's changed since that meeting. The governor has not changed anything. Those court cases went like he thought they might.
As far as what?
He thought there was a chance they could win that first initial case. And then
Okay.
it would go to appellate, it would get moved to Springfield,
Okay.
and then the governor would win.
So that's where you're stalled as far as, even if you win here locally, the appellate, then you're not going to have a chance to win in Springfield.
I don't see a chance of winning in Springfield.
So there's nothing you're going to do at the local level then, like I said, to accommodate the kids that are having trouble wearing the mask?
What do you mean by having trouble wearing the mask?
Having trouble with their anxiety, the breathing, the issues of with it being on their face or being reprimanded because they try to breathe without, it's still on their ears and around their mouth, down below their nose, and being reprimanded for that. Not all, but some. Some kids, it don't bother them at all. I have grandchildren and nephews and nieces alike. Some, like I said, they could wear it 24 hours a day, it's not a problem. There's others that it's a problem. And educators know that not one size fits all, and that is not fair. Children have different needs, and that's not being met, and that's what's very hard to sleep with every night, that those kids don't matter. That's not what this school's about. Every kid matters. That's
I
something
think it's a
I
pretty
wish could
bold
be
statement to
addressed.
make that we don't care about some of the kids. We've got different views coming from all ends of the community, and we've got to look at the whole picture.
I understand that.
So I'm not
But
sure.
but the one size fits all, you wear your mask or else. That is saying,
Well, that's
That
the
is-
rule that's handed to us, right?
I'm not sure we're getting anywhere with this. If you got anything else to say.
no, sir. No, I was wanting to know that it was staying on the agenda and that the school was trying to make a good faith effort to move forward.
I
And
appreciate
that the money wasn't dictating.
I 100% appreciate what you're
That's-
saying. It's something we struggle with. I don't know what the answer is.
Okay, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Presentations.
We could have our three principals come up. Mrs. Reba from the elementary, Mr. Upmore from the junior high, and Mr. McMillan back from the high school. The state went back to their state testing this past spring, the Illinois Assessment of Readiness that is taking third grade through eighth grade. And then the SAT, which we're all familiar with, is taken at the junior level for the high school. That's how the state's recognized testing. We locally, for our own internal purposes, we use a nationally referenced assessment of MAP testing, and that tests reading and math, and that's done, benchmark is done 3 times a year. So we do fall benchmarking, and then winter, and then spring. The IAR is like anything else with the state of Illinois, just like the SAT, it's a contract. So every few years, the test may change, which is traditionally it has. I forget the first test, Prairie State exam, I believe, is what I started. And then we went ISAT, and then PART. Yep, and now we're on IAR now, within the state testing. And not all those tests are aligned and norm referenced the same. So it's not completely apples to apples when you do this. But it is an assessment that you cannot ignore, and that is what we're identified as. Now, in last spring's testing, we do not have, traditionally, we have like 100% participation from those tested areas. Maybe there might be 99 at one grade level, but everybody takes a test. Well, last year, because we had students remote, this, that, and the other, not all 100% of our students were tested. And within the state of Illinois, that is true. And matter of fact, schools got to choose whether they did it in the spring or in the fall. And because some of the schools chose to do it in the fall, there's no state referencing on the IAR. So, as Mrs. Reba and Mr. Upmore try to explain to you in general terms where we look to, there's no individual drilled down scores or data, but the MAP testing is universal amongst our kids. So you'll hear some referencing of that as well. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, Mrs. Reba. What was some high
all,
overarching
folks.
comments?
Okay, I am going to start on the far right-hand side with the IAR, since that is where we kind of left off. These are timed assessments, and there were 3 ELA and then 3 math assessments given to students. So they have anywhere from 75 to 90 minutes. And if you can imagine an 8 to 10-year-old, sometimes 11-year-olds trying to push through some of these exams. Bailey probably remembers them.
Yeah.
it can take quite a bit of endurance on a good year, but then when you put into the mix of a pandemic, some of us were face-to-face, then we were remote, some were all remote. It had an impact, and that is shown there. And as Dr. Chatterton alluded, we do not at this time have any comparative data to what happened across the state as far as testing went. So since there is this fall testing window, it just closed, I think, about a week ago. So we're hopeful that we'll have some better reports that come out of this data so that we can drill a little deeper and take a closer look. I think pretty self-explanatory when you see the black marked out there. Second grade doesn't take it. All of 2020, there was not a test taken. I believe the minimum number of students they expected to take was 70% in order to score it. Elementary had some remote students come in and take the exam, so that shows you the commitment that our families have to their students and their learning. And we averaged about 93 to 95% of our students that ended up being tested. All right, I'm going to move you over to the nationally normed benchmark assessments there on the left-hand side. We have our math benchmarks on top and our ELA at the bottom. What we were most encouraged by from 21 clear back to 2018, these are fall benchmark scores. These are the scores that we would have the most consistently available to us to make some comparisons. So as you look at that, this is pretty comparable each year from 21 all the way back to 2018. You can see there was very little variance in the percentage of students who were average or above average on a national normed test. So we were very hopeful in looking at that. And then if you are interested in looking at a cohort, for example, in the upper right-hand corner, you see 2018 on both of those charts for a second grader. Then you can look to 2019 for a third grader. You can see how that class achieved on that fall benchmark then the following year, and then so forth and so on, diagonally coming across there.
Was there any large takeaways, like areas that you're giving a little bit more attention to this year as a staff based on this as opposed to previous years?
Correct, yes. So part of our Collaboration Monday work is on vertical alignment of our standards. Illinois assigned priority standards in 2020, after March of 2020 occurred, to give districts better focus. They circled the wagons with professionals and determined what that very minimum would be for school districts to focus in on, because they knew, starting in the fall then of 20, that it was going to be a difficult road ahead. So we are taking a closer look at those priority standards and then working vertically from grade level to grade level to hone in on our focus of our students and our achievement.
Mr. Altman?
Okay, I'm going to focus on math just for a second, because in the junior high, as you may know, last year we started the compacted math program, where we have kids that are in 6th grade that are taking all the 6th grade standards and half the 7th grade standards in math that year. Then when they get in 7th grade, they take the other half of 7th grade and all of 8th grade standards. And then when they are in 8th grade, they can take Algebra 1. We had a conflict of data that was sent back to the state, but we found out that only about 6% of our students in 8th grade were passing Algebra 1. The state average is somewhere around 30%, 33%, I believe. So by using this program, this year we now have 20 students that are in Algebra 1. So we're going to have a significant jump in students that are going to pass Algebra 1 in 8th grade. So that's the whole purpose behind that. Now, we still have smaller groups, 18 to 20 kids in 7th grade, 18 to 20 kids in 6th grade taking this course. with the hopes that maybe we can build it up into maybe a second class at some point, depending on criteria of getting into the program, because we do move at a little bit more of an accelerated rate. So we want to make sure that we're giving the students the proper chance to succeed in that classroom. But really, what it does is it gives them, when they get to high school, a better chance of taking different math courses that are available at the high school. I will tell you that I think that our scores for IAR were acceptable. I know 13% in 8th grade math does not look that great. We've debated a lot about why this is. One of the main reasons I believe our 8th grade scores, we're taking this in the spring. Our 8th graders are also expected to take the Illinois Science Assessment, which is 3 tests of 45 minutes, to take the IAR, which you heard was 6 total tests of 75 to 90 minutes, and then they take the MAP assessment, and they also take a STAR assessment, which is just 1 day. But the amount of testing we're putting on our 8th graders at the end of the year is big, and we think that they're getting a little burned out. So we believe that's why we're seeing a little bit of a score. So we're going to try to work on a couple of those things this year, and what we can do to maybe spread out our testing instead of trying to cram a bunch of things up into the last couple of weeks of school and spread it out just a little bit more. I am happy about our both our reading and MAP benchmarks for the fall. They are very comparable to other years starting out in the fall, as Ms. Reba said. They're just lining up right, and it's, we talk a lot about learning loss, and we talk a lot about the impact that COVID has had on our students, and we're starting off right where we kind of left off. So I think that things are looking pretty good, and the thing that I always look for is, you got your students that meets and exceeds, but where are the next layer of students? And we have a big pool of students that we're looking to bump up to get into that meets and exceeds category. So I'd say that the scores right now are looking pretty good for the junior high. Mr. McMillan?
I will build a little bit off what Mr. Upmore said with the math piece. As you can see, our math last year, even in a pandemic, shows significant growth. And a lot of that was because, number one, that was a focal point. We spent a lot of time looking over the standards and looking over our course curriculum. We're also encouraging more kids to take the pre-calc class. This is where having kids in Algebra 1, 8th grade, come in. Because the SAT, there's a good portion of the questions that are found in that pre-calc class. If the kids don't get to that class by their junior year, there's a whole portion of that test they'll never be exposed to. So that's extremely important for us. We still, however, struggle with algebraic questions and problem solving. So we're incorporating more things of that nature into our classes this year. We also, our MAP scores also indicate the same thing, that is a weakness, so they are comparable there. In terms of reading, we did take hit a bit of a decline last year. There are several things that both the MAP and the SAT told us that we need to improve upon. The first big one being writing. We don't write enough, and as I'm talking to our teachers, we don't write enough with purpose. Our kids really struggle with literary and informational text, and that is they reading a passage and being able to draw a conclusion from that passage and writing on it. So we're doing a significant amount of work right now in our course curriculum, really trying to rectify that, to get our kids write more with purpose, and of course to read at higher lexile levels than what they're currently reading. Our MAP scores also indicate that we struggle. The literary and informational text piece is something we struggle with. So this is things that we'll address in the curriculum council, such as looking at different supplies, different resources that we can use to also help address that.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Very good.
Action items. Resolution request of General Assembly.
Unfortunately, I think Renee and I were both optimistic that our attorney would get something to us before tonight, and unfortunately, we have not gotten anything. But as soon as I get something, I will share it with the board. That'll have to be tabled, I guess.
Resolution of withdrawal for SEPCO. Along with Most all other districts in Peoria County are members of the Special Education Cooperative. Dunlap is seeking to withdraw fully from SEPCO effective July 1st, 2022. SEPCO needs each member district to adopt a resolution to acknowledge their withdrawal. Need a motion and second to approve resolution number 101221 as presented.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Stanley, second by Slack. Discussion?
Why is Dunlap one out? What's their deal?
They're large enough to have their own services without needing the cooperative format.
What's the end run effect on us?
The optimistic perspective is that it'll be neutral because by making this resolution happen in the fall, the staffing can all be leveled out within the winter to make sure that we have the staff needed for the rest of the co-op while they're able to take the staff that they need for their services.
That was the optimistic one. Is there another one that you're saying? Or? Hesitation is great.
Yeah. So you want to be sure to be appropriately staffed, but in the end, if you have to be overly staffed within the SEPCO cooperative to be able to have those specialty services, that may happen from time to time.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I got you.
What happens if we don't approve this?
I think that there's more legal steps that they have to go through.
And is there a reason why we would not?
Why you would not approve it?
Yeah.
Other than saving the time and energy and resources of administration, not this administrator, but from SEPCO and Dunlap, and
I'm asking, I'm kind of naive to the,
kind of naive as well, to be perfectly honest.
I mean, I don't understand why they need a resolution. Why do they need a resolution from
It
us?
must just be a bylaws thing or something. When there's a growth.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. I came up in August when they gave, actually in the summer before August, that they gave notice that, hey, we're looking at our staffing and we have enough to do our own staffing, all inclusive. And so they started the process and they needed a resolution from all the cooperative members to accept their withdrawal from the co-op. And so their attorney just drafted one up with all the districts and sent it out to us for our boards to adopt. And I didn't ask any further than that.
Generally, you have to be voted into a co-op.
Correct.
You have to be voted out as well. Or granted a withdrawal.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Roll call?
Parali,
Yes.
Gorsuch,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Stanley,
Yes.
Lanier,
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Fiscal year 21 audit.
I think the draft is in my email, but I have not had a chance to review it so that'll need to be tabled till next month.
Discussion. Code of Ethics number 10. I will strive for a positive working relationship with the superintendent, respecting the superintendent's authority to advise the board, implement board policy, and administer the district. Committee reports. Curriculum. Lanier and Ferrari had a meeting on September 21st and October 5th.
Basically, we just went over the test scores, which our principals just did for us, about the same information. And next time when we meet, we're going to try and establish our goals. And we have a form out that we can start putting suggestions in, so when we get there, it's ready for us. We don't have to waste time on that.
Only thing I would add to that is if there's any goals or directions from the board in relation to curriculum or any information you want to see. That's where we're at in the process, so.
The delegate for the convention. We need to come up with a delegate by next month. So if anybody that's going would graciously volunteer, that'd be great.
Am I the only one going?
Well, Alex is going, right?
No,
No? What?
I decided not. Too scared.
You going, Dustin?
I'm not able to
Okay.
make it this year.
It's just too close to Thanksgiving, and
Sure. No, I understand.
I
I'm
host
just curious.
Thanksgiving at my house usually.
I guess it's
Dustin?
me.
I'm not gonna ask Travis, I'm gonna skip him.
I prefer the ones online.
I understand that, yes.
That's really nice.
I don't, is Keith going?
I don't,
Not that I'm aware of.
Dustin it is?
I think it's me.
I think it's you.
But maybe if I
Man.
process it, eliminate it.
Dustin's over there, he's like that.
I was gonna say, don't, I'm
I'm
not
not
going.
going. No.
It's really a good time, and you learn a lot, and the workshops are very helpful.
Well, we don't have to have one, right? But it would be nice.
I'll do it. I mean, I'm gonna be there.
He said he'd do
so.
it.
Yeah, my only apprehension is that you are missing sessions.
Right.
In order to go and sit through, and I'm not saying it's not meaningful work, but you're gonna be torn once you decide on which sessions you wanna go to versus being a delegate. So if the district has a delegate, how about it be to Mr. Gorsuch's availability in that
what's
time?
the length of the delegate session?
Depends on how long the discussion is. I mean, you can go into the evening.
Yeah.
Depends on what's on there.
And he could always at the last minute decide not to go to that and go to sessions.
Right.
Okay.
We'll figure it out there.
Nothing is big
Do
enough.
we have the list of stuff? We talk about that next month?
Yeah, I believe, I don't know if it's come out yet. I'll have to double check it.
I guess we can look that over and see if there's anything we really
Correct, yeah.
have a strong opinion of.
Perfect. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you.
Labor management. Mrs. Frawley or Mr. Stanley?
I forgot, I didn't make it.
Oh,
Totally
okay.
spaced out and forgot about it.
Basically, we discussed, I'm just going by the notes from the meeting, after-school tutoring, possible options and things. We discussed the research center update. Some of the classes are having problems with getting books and checking out books. I know there's classes from the high school that go to the public library to check out because the books here, for some reason, they can't get to them. And they were discussion on parent-teacher conferences, on what was being done. A little bit of discussion on the guidelines. And we discussed the custodial positions because we're working short. And did we get anyone to apply lately?
We've had a couple of applications, Mrs.
Do we? Okay, so then assuming they'll be put on, Doug will take care of them and interview them, and we'll see if we have some help for our janitors.
I believe we will have one. And then there was another one for a different department.
Okay, well, that's good. And then they just discussed other things that were concerning, there's some discussion on the delayed starts, SIP days, staff dismissal for homecoming, and then the ESSER position. So it was just, actually it was quite positive. I didn't feel that meeting was negative. Sometimes I feel it's a little negative, but I thought there's a lot of positive discussion and people listened and participated.
Good.
A lot of things brought up that probably needed to be, that did need to be.
Buildings and grounds. We talked about leasing the skid steer, which we voted on, and The HVAC agreement with Helm Mechanicals. We're doing a yearly agreement with them to service.
I think Doug said he takes care of 60+% of things, and they're gonna come in and just kind of keep that maintenance flowing and keep things caught up. Running good.
Talked a little bit about the greenhouse,
Yep.
central greenhouse.
I think we're gonna go check it out here in the next couple weeks, so. Did shave some off the price that we started at. I think we're more concerned about the material it's built from now. We wanna kinda get a visual, make sure.
There are options. There are options.
Not that we've
Oh.
went too far in yet.
Okay.
We're just kinda going by what they're giving us. That's where we wanna see it.
I see.
Anything else? Positive Community Committee.
I just know that we have the Unity Walk coming up in October each year with Mr. Upmauer, and that's on the 20th? Yeah, so it's Bullying Awareness Month is going on, and usually the Unity Walk works in conjunction with that, so that's their big event.
Sounds good.
We also talk there on a couple things that come up. I think the term is a lot of challenges with social, emotional aspects, behavioral issues. That come up in both of the committees I was involved in this month. The Positive Climate Committee was really started for anti-bullying. That was a discussion that we had in our meeting is, do we want to look at expanding the scope of that climate to kind of, or at least that's kind of how I walked away from that, and look at more of behavioral and really kind of look at, for me, what positive climate would be, just from the standpoint of active on that. So,
Sounds like a good idea.
Student Board Member, Bailey.
Yeah, so the first thing I wanted to talk about was, I guess senior night is coming up for lots of sports. People are really excited, I know. They were a little disappointed about the varsity football game being canceled, but they're happy they can at least have something that night. Another thing with sports, I know lots of the students and parents weren't very happy with the pictures and the quality compared to last year. There was like some photos missing from packages, and just some of the quality wasn't as good as last year. There was also Pink Out this past month. It was Josie Gibbs and Aaron Seaver's harvesting project. I know for me, I was quarantined during the football game, so I wasn't there, but I heard it was really good. A lot of people showed up and wore their Pink Out shirts. I was at the volleyball game because I play on the volleyball team, and I know a lot of people went to that. Even the other team bought shirts and supported us and they raised, I talked to Josie today, and they raised about $2,800 for Pink Out altogether. And then I guess regards to being quarantined, because I experienced that, teachers were really good about checking in with me and making sure I was getting everything done, sending me emails and things like that, and they just handled everything really well.
Great. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
That's good to hear.
Rails to Trails. Last year, the board considered an Governmental agreement with the city of Farmington in support of the Rails to Trails project. At the time, the board was not able to support the project but wanted to stay abreast of any future developments. The acquisition of the property from Union Pacific is being considered through a federal grant in the amount of $2.1 million, which is an 80-20 grant. That leaves roughly $420,000 for local entities to pick up in order for the project to go through. The National Environmental Policy Act has approved the grant and is back at the state level. There is a strong likelihood that the project will clear the necessary hurdles to be approved at the state level. This is a discussion item to see if the board has any new questions or thoughts regarding the potential of the rail line becoming the recreational trail.
Been a strong likelihood for almost 30 years. How much money do they have? Do they have a plan? Or is this still
Are
just
you talking about the purchase or the
big picture?
one? Okay, the long term.
Yeah.
So, not specifically.
Okay.
There's a couple options that they're considering. They already have, a tax exempt identity through the former Friends of the Rock Island Trail. I might be saying that wrong, but they connected with another nonprofit entity, and so their license is dormant and can be transitioned over to this trail. So that's the first option, which time, since they're non-for-profit, they would be eligible for grants and things like that for ongoing maintenance and any sort of major projects and things of that nature, is the first. The second would be to have the public entities somehow work together to be responsible for the trail, and then they would be the entity that would be able to apply for grants and such. But the goal would be to have grants take care of the major part, and then volunteers take care of the normal maintenance of the projects. But they don't know which way they're going to go, because they were looking at the insurance and the liability from both those aspects to see which is going to be more costly. And then the second part of it would be which would be most likely to receive grant funds for projects.
How much money are they wanting from us?
So 40,000.
Yeah, there's so I told them that I would bring it back as a discussion item, because I felt like when the board voted it down last time, is that there just wasn't a comfort level with it, but it wasn't an all out, we don't want to be aware of anything. But I also don't want to put something back on as an action item if there's no change, or the questions aren't able to be answered for the board, because it's already been turned down once, so you don't just keep putting things on as an action item until the board wants to have it on, and there has to be a reason why to have it on. I think the why might be is that there's a pretty strong likelihood that it's going to clear all these entities and it's going to be sold based on this grant coming through and the other public entities financially supporting it. Whether the district chooses to align with the city, that's a different discussion. But there was enough of an update I felt it was worthy of another conversation for the board.
I missed the mayor uptown by about 2 minutes this morning. Otherwise, I'd have cornered him. But I thought it was a good idea. I still think it's an okay idea. They need a better plan. To acquire this thing without a plan how to make it happen, I mean, it just seems like it's going to go nowhere. I mean, it hasn't been 30 years, but it's easily been 20 this has been kicked around. And we still don't have a plan even. And I don't think it's a good thing for the community. But then it comes back, do we have any business putting money in it? I mean, that's a whole other deal there.
Yeah,
So, not totally against it, I just think we need some clarity maybe.
that initial agreement they wanted us to go in was the upfront money. The upfront cost wasn't maybe the big thing. It was the fact that it said in the agreement that we were responsible with Farmington to maintenance. What's that gonna cost? What's that gonna take?
Are we maintaining it from Hannah City to Middle Grove,
Yeah.
or just school district in town?
So that was my biggest.
But I think they just, as you know, they need a lot of, get it started even, to start with. They need an entity of their own, and then figure out what they're gonna do, so.
Do they have an estimate on maintenance?
No.
No,
You've also got to have the money to put the trail in.
Right,
And
the initial
landscaping.
Right.
doing it would be very expensive.
Yeah, that's gonna be the big cost of it.
But you're saying that,
I was just gonna say, will it still generate revenue for taxes for the school, or is it?
no,
I would, yeah,
that's gonna come to an end.
yeah. Like the opposite, actually.
Yeah, it's gonna cost us money.
What was the, you probably don't remember what that was.
I mean, it was easily $100,000 or greater.
There's a possibility we lose that levy or whatever,
Yeah, the property tax revenue.
and we don't get the trail too. If they buy it and then don't have a funding mechanism to
Yeah,
build it and
yeah.
maintain it.
That could happen.
Yes.
I think it's very likely, if they get the money, and if they do this, it's likely to be a broken trail for some period of time. Well, if somebody does something between here and Hannah City, that's 10 miles of wide open country there. You know, these little towns could put together trails in their areas, you know, from the school to the other side of town. That wouldn't be too hard, but it's only a mile through town, basically. I think it's 10 miles to Hannah City. That's a lot of work. A lot of money. But there are grants out there that maybe they can get, so it'd be a good thing.
And that's, Fulton County's out, right? They were out.
Yes, when it was placed as an action item for them, it
I
was
don't see
voted
them
on.
come back in, huh?
Perry County, they're not in either.
They were at the meeting.
They're still listening, huh?
Mhm.
That's good.
Peoria County representative and I were at the meeting. Neither of us said anything other than we were interested in an update on how the grant was coming through, or how, yeah, it was a grant.
Does it dead end on the Peoria side somewhere? Or
There's
does
a
it
bridge
connect
missing in
in?
Bellevue.
Right next to Bellevue, there's a dilapidated bridge that would be the hard stopper.
Because it spans like the Kickapoo Creek and some railroad tracks in that area. something
Yeah.
like that.
At the original meeting, they were in attendance, and they felt the terrain and the responsibility was too great to consider that being a part of the trail. Part of the purchase, but not a part of any future recreational trail.
The bridge is part of the purchase.
The whole span, the whole 26 miles.
Yeah. I was at Peoria County was redoing their zoning. It had to have been at least 20, maybe 25 years ago. And there was a committee of us that we were meeting at different places. And one night, the county, we were meeting at the Hannah City Village Hall. And so I got there before the meeting was over, and on their agenda was discussion of trying to acquire this rail line in the village limits of Hannah City. So listening in, the answer from the railroad was absolutely not. How about the whole thing, though? And that's what started this all those years ago. Because Hannah City just wanted it in the village limits of what they wanted. They wouldn't break that up. So been all this time and still not a real resolution. They ought to just sell it to the communities, let them have what they want, and then sell the rest back to landowners, be done with it, really. I mean, I've never been on the Rock Island Trail, but it's nice. A lot of people use it.
They do.
It's a major population center, though, compared to this. I mean,
But that was the last that was put under one of the arms of the state. I can't remember which department within the state. So that was maintained by state funding.
Right.
And that volunteer group that did
Sure.
the smaller But any major bridge or underpass and those types of things was the responsibility of the state. So that is my understanding, the one and only time the state would be responsible for that.
So for a time frame, basically, if they came and said that the grants are going through, they're gonna sell it, is that an opportunity for us to get in, or we have to know prior to any of that happening for that to ensure?
If I was reading body language, it sounds like the board would like to know more about what the plan is after the acquisition before they were able to support the initial
I think
purchase.
so, yeah.
Is that what I'm hearing?
Is there an entity that could levy or put a referendum on a certain body
You could,
to
I
fund?
mean, at one time, there was discussion of some ways to do that, but like a municipal body would have to assume that, like Kansas City would have to assume it the entire way, and that would annex into their town. And they were hesitant to do that. I think most other bodies would be too. The county, I think, I don't read them very well.
Well, you're 26 miles long. I mean, when you look at government entities, why would any of them
Right. Why
take
would
that on?
Right. So it's possible, but it doesn't seem to be a likely scenario. Because it is a money pit, right? I mean, this thing is going to cost a lot of money. And it's 2 counties. Also, it's several miles.
I'm just spitballing here, but is there something that, when I think of the trail, the school district's footprint, is there something that we can put towards the voters, like look into putting towards the voters to let them have a voice on it? Like an advisory referendum or anything like that? I mean,
Theoretically, but I would assume, I did not talk to our attorney about that. I would assume, though, that we would have a responsibility. Yeah. We would have a responsibility for the full trail. If you would be eligible to levy for it, then you would be responsible for it.
I get that part. I didn't know if there was anything less than that you could do.
That was one of the discussions that they would collectively have, what's the term that you had equal responsibility for the 26. So say there's 5 municipalities involved in the 26 miles, it'd be 1/5 responsibility. Equally. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I guess I'm of your mindset. I mean, it's not really. I'd love to have it, but I don't really know where.
I think the idea is they have some sort of a 501c3 group that would receive this thing, and then they would have to work to get money from all the municipalities and anybody else they get, your state grant, federal grants, groups, whatever they could do. That would be your normal sort of a situation there, I think.
But a 501c would be private.
Right, and this is going to be a private thing. It's going to involve some taxing bodies, I'd say, before this is over with. But, I mean, that's what we're looking for. It's going to be some group that is going to be under somebody's old 501c3 heading, probably.
Correct.
Yeah.
The Friends of the Rock Island Trail will be rebranded to be the Friends of the
Whatever this is.
Union Pacific.
I mean, they even could get a name for it. It would help a little snappier,
That was discussed.
Yeah, I would think so, yeah. Got to sell this thing, people. Come on.
Yeah, like rails to trails.
I'm not a big fan, no. Need a location. You got to tie the location into it so people know what you're talking about,
Metal drift to Peoria trails.
Something like that.
that money would have to come out of the education fund, right?
I believe you could take it out of the capital project.
I'd be very uncomfortable taking it out of the education fund. I feel like the people pay their taxes
Be very uncomfortable
for
with
the
that.
children's education and things, and I would be very uncomfortable with that. Although I think it's a great project.
I agree. It's a good project.
I've heard a lot of people who are very interested and hopeful for it.
I just think the funding's way higher than the numbers I'm seeing to maintain it. Like that unknown number is, I'm very leery of what we're getting into, and it's not something, I would love to see it. It would be a tremendous asset to have a trail between.
And that's what my point was last time. If you want us to give you X amount of dollars to get the thing bought, I'd think about that, but then we're done.
Right, but it's in our backyard.
Yeah.
You know?
But I think it's outside the scope of our,
Yeah.
what we're here for.
Yeah.
That's the problem I'm having. Not that I'm not for it, but it's just,
I have visited with the mayor, and he has some short-term goals, how things would kind of work out here locally, depending on the structure of it, and it kind of made sense. But I think there's still a big picture thing here that needs to be hammered out exactly. How we're going to split this up evenly, or make it your own little piece. I mean, that all needs to be worked out. And somebody could surely do some cost projection and time frame how it would take to make this all come together. Big project, should have a big plan. Planning essential.
As more information becomes available, I'll share it along.
I was going to say, we got enough questions that I feel like we can talk about it again.
Yeah.
Whether it's an action item or not. How soon does,
How about if we maintain it as a discussion item unless there's a full presentation for a bigger plan?
sound good? Closed session for the purpose of personnel and student discipline. Motion and second to enter into closed session for the purpose of personnel and student discipline.
so moved.
Second.
Motion by Blunier, second by Marr. Roll call?
Gorsuch,
Yes.
Marr,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Stanley.
Yes.
Lanier,
Yes.
Farrelly.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0.
besides
lot
the
of
video,
excitement.
yeah, besides the video going, nobody at least witnessed my squeaking of the chair when I sat down. Changed
That is
that
so
out when we
funny.
got back. I thought it was you last month that had the
It
chair.
was, I hated it, and I was so glad I didn't have it today, because we were up and down a lot.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm coming early, and I can change it with one out in the audience.
Nice and cool in here.
Renee got the skirting finally on.
Skirting is fantastic. Do
Yeah.
they have
Isn't
paint
it
there
nice?
too?
What's that?
Do they have paint there too?
I love what they painted, it was in my well with it.
Can we get a curtain behind us?
Blue screen, green screen. Green
There you go.
Yeah, green screen.
Look like we're on
And
the
how
beach
to
or
do the
something.
weather here today in Farmington. This is our budget here, and you can point to this. That'd be nice. Let's see the guys,
Dustin
this
to
quick
come
meeting's
back
not
on and see
here.
you turn it on.
We already have it on.
Oh.
It's rolling. Yep.
At this time, I will ask for a motion and second to return to open session.
So moved?
Second?
Motion by Ferrari, seconded by Gorsuch. Roll call, all in favor, aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Passes 6-0. Personnel. Mrs. Slack recommends Danielle Hasty as cafe worker. Motion second to approve the employment of Danielle Hasty as cafe worker for the 2021-2022 school year.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Blunier, second by Moore. Roll call.
Lunier,
Yes.
Frawley,
Yes.
Gorsuch,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Stanley.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Mr. Otto recommends Deborah Uraz as the position of Farmington Central Junior High yearbook sponsor, Lily Beth Mendez as the freshman girls basketball coach, Tim Mills as the Farmington Central Junior High 7th grade boys basketball coach, Mackenzie Vonk as the JV girls basketball coach, and Jenna Putrich as the Farmington Central Junior High 7th grade girls basketball coach. Motion and second to approve the employment of Deborah Uraz for the position of Farmington Central Junior High yearbook sponsor for 2021-2022 school year.
So moved?
Second. Motion by Ferrari, second by Slack. Roll call.
Frawley,
Yes.
Gorsuch,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Stanley,
Yes.
Lunier.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Motion and second to approve the employment of Lily Beth Mendez as the freshman girls basketball coach for the 2021-2022 school year. So moved.
Second?
Motion by Slack, second by Ferrari. Roll call.
Gorsuch,
Yes.
Mar,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Stanley,
Yes.
Lunier,
Yes.
Frawley.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Motion second to approve the employment of Tim Mills as the Farmington Central Junior High 7th grade boys basketball coach for the 2021-2022 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Stanley, second by Mar. Roll call.
Mar,
Yes.
Slack,
Yes.
Stanley,
Yes.
Lunier,
Yes.
Frawley,
Yes.
Gorsuch.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Motion second to approve the employment of Mackenzie Vonk as the JV girls basketball coach for the 2021-2022 school year.
So moved.
Second. Motion by Gorsuch, second by Slack. Roll call.
Slack,
Yes.
Stanley,
Yes.
Lunier,
Yeah.
Frawley,
Yes.
Gorsuch.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0. Motion second to approve the employment of Jenna Putrich as the Farmington Central Junior High 7th grade girls basketball coach for the 2021-2022 school year.
So moved.
Motion by Stanley, second by Blunier. Roll call.
Stanley.
Yes.
Lanier.
Yeah.
Crawley.
Yes.
Gorsuch.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Slack.
Yes. Motion passes 6-0. Mr. Otto recommends the appointment of the following people as volunteers. Sam Depperman for FFA and Jason Archdale for the high school band. I need a voice vote to approve the volunteers. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6-0. The board acknowledges the resignations of Melissa Petermeyer as the junior high cheerleading coach, effective October 12, 2021, and Quincy Thomas as the 7th grade volleyball coach, effective immediately. Need a motion second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Marr, second by Gorsuch. Voice vote, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Next regular scheduled meeting, Monday, November 8th, 2021, at 6:30 here in the Research Center.